everybody, and welcome to Quick Review Thursday. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I'm here with a guest who's never been on this show before, but he's been on Indie Film Cafe before. Please welcome Dustin Hubbard. How you doing, Dustin?
Hey, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Dustin, we all know from many of your posts and everything, you're a huge Full Moon fan.
I am. I'm probably one of the biggest full moon supporters and fans you'll ever meet. So,
Definitely. And so I was like thinking of a quick review Thursday, and I had to think of something that, you'd definitely be interested in watching. And I chose Mandroid as the movie because it's been a while since I've seen it, so I was excited to have a refresher, and B because I had remembered really loving it,
mhm.
like both the movies, the first one and the sequel, Invisible, like both of those films. So I mean, I know you know a lot about these things too. This is a quick review, so this is only gonna be about 20 minutes long,
Mhm.
but like you told me a very interesting fact about the main character, or not a main villain. Well, the guy who plays, by the way, it's his name is Ivan Drago, or I think they call it Even or something,
Yeah,
but
Yvonne.
Yvonne Drago. I think they probably did the Yvonne to make it
Yeah,
sound
Yvonne.
different than Ivan, or
Not
whatever.
not the Ivan Drago.
Which really, like, I forgot. I don't even know if I even knew that they did.
Truthfully, I never made the connection until you said it.
Really? You
Yeah, no,
never noticed
totally.
that? Because
And not at all because I don't know, it just never clicked. And then you said it, and I was like, oh my god, that's pretty obvious.
right? I mean, just Drago. Like when I saw
Mhm.
Drago, I was like, "Oh, okay." Like it's like Ivan, and then I heard the name Yvonne, and I'm like,
And
"Wait a minute."
you know what the funny thing is that you know Dolph Lundgren has so many degrees, and he's like he's so studied up and stuff. He could be one of these scientists in real life if he wanted to be.
No, that's funny. Now that reminds me of that episode of what is it? It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they try to have Dolph Lundgren play a cop who can smell people with his nose, or whatever. It's just like,
Hmm.
but he was like a scientist or something too, and
Yeah,
very smart. And I'm wondering if they actually know how actually smart Dolph Lundgren is.
yeah. Dolph has like a very humongous IQ and is probably more certified as a scientist than someone like Bill Nye is.
Bill Nye.
He could
Uh,
very well be someone, one of these characters that's, building mandroids and playing with Supercon.
It's interesting because like I'm wondering about that because I wonder if they had originally wanted him, but unfortunately they didn't. So they just called the guy his character name, or whatever.
You
Um,
never know.
he would have been perfect in that time period too. He was sort of,
Hmm.
he was sort of the B movie star. Like he didn't really ever go further than, playing Ivan Drago, you know what I mean? Like you would think that that part would probably skyrocket him to more villain roles or whatever that, and he just kind of became this just B movie action star.
Yeah.
So he would have been perfect at that time, 93. But it's just so weird to put the two and two together. But you said that the guy who played Drago, tell us a little bit more about him.
Yeah, the actor who played uh, Dr. Ivan Drago, his name was Kurt Lowens. He actually passed back in 2017.
Oh, wow.
He
Rest in
was,
peace.
yeah, he was infamously a Holocaust survivor. He was German. He was a Holocaust survivor. He eventually, you know, escaped, went on to become a Nazi hunter, and eventually helped save and liberate over 150 children from being murdered by Nazis.
Oh, wow. Really?
So he's like legitimately. It's funny that someone who would go on to play villains like in Mandroid and Invisible and I believe one of his earliest film roles was Werewolf in a Girl's Dormitory. Who would go on to play roles like that was actually in real life the truest definition of a hero.
Well, so
So,
yeah, it's funny he plays villains, but he also plays like it seems like almost like Nazi villains. So
mhm,
it's really sort of it's strange. It's like
bizarrely ironic.
it's
Yep.
ironic, yeah. Like he saved people from the Nazis and yet he
Mhm.
played Nazi guys kind of thing, you know.
Yep.
I guess that's kind of the problem with casting like Germans, you know,
Mhm.
people of German heritage, in these kind of roles is that you're gonna get that, you know. But
Yeah.
anyway, I absolutely, I want to say I just enjoyed this movie just as much as the first time I watched it. There's just
Mhm.
something fun about the film. I even said, I think I mentioned to you when I was watching the full moon logo, the old school full moon logo always makes me happy. Like
Yeah,
just
that's
seeing
my favorite version of the logo is the one that's seen at the beginning of this movie.
right. And it's just because the sound, the music that they use, everything just sort of just makes you feel good when you're watching,
Mhm.
which is funny because you're going to watch a horror film. But,
Mhm.
you know, like it just made me feel good. Like it made me go back to like the times that they made great films like this.
Yeah.
Was this during the Paramount years or not?
Yes, this was actually just probably, about 2 or 3 years out from the separation from Paramount. So I believe Mandroid came out in roughly 93 ish. Uh, I believe 92, 93 ish. So yeah, it was right at the height of all of their really classic Paramount stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I adore this movie because it like takes me back to that time period when they were
mm,
making movies like this. They made movies like Invisible. They made Oblivion. They made all these different
mm,
things that just were fun. They were not to be taken too seriously. I mean, this. I mean, no offense to Full Moon Now. Like I love Full Moon Now still. Like I adore them, but it's just different. Like it just feels cheaper
yeah,
and that's okay, you know, like that's not a bad thing. It's just
yeah,
I feel like it just kind of loses a lot of the fun that, you know, like it doesn't have to be like $1 million project, but you know, like you can still make something for like a couple 100 grand and make
mm,
something just, you know, just as good as the way the Mandroid was to me. So
yeah.
but I mean, who's your favorite character? Was it Benjamin Knight? I know, like in this one, he's really not that prevalent. He's kind of better, bigger in the second one. Which was
Yeah,
what?
it's honestly, it's kind of funny. Honestly, my favorite character probably is Ivan Drago. Honestly,
Right? Uh,
because just because he's a cool villain and he's just kind of an asshole right out of the gate. He doesn't trust anyone. He doesn't trust his lifelong, like business partner that he's been doing these experiments with.
well,
Uh,
he was planning to like sell it to the military and shit. Like he
mhm,
wasn't. He wanted to benefit from it. Like he
yep.
is like the typical, you know, the villain or whatever. And then he gets, you know, basically his face burned off, and then he
Yeah.
basically, to me, it was like this was their Captain America. You know,
Mhm.
what is it? Doctor. Was it Doctor Mordred was Doctor Strange, you know, and that
Yeah.
was originally was going to be Doctor Strange, and then
Yeah.
they switched it around. I, you know what I kind of was bummed about? I was
What?
bummed that Jeffrey Combs wasn't in this movie. Like this would have been a Jeffrey Combs like perfect, you know, thing. He would have. I honestly did not like the main guy. I guess I mean Wade, the guy who played Wade. I felt like he was kind of boring. Like
Well, I'll tell you this, and this is a bit off track, but originally the future plan for this universe was that there were bigger plans for Mandroid because after Mandroid and then Invisible, there was the plan and early spec art done for a movie that would have been another very in theme to like Marvel type stuff for a film called The Legion of Doom. And it was going to be a team up movie, kind of like an Avengers kind of thing with Full Moon's Avengers. It would have been the Mandroid, Benjamin Knight, Doll Man, and Dr. Mordred.
Fuck,
And they would have all
dude.
four come together to fight a common evil, and it was tossed around for a while, but then it just never materialized. But they would have had Jeffrey Combs in this universe eventually, but it just
Yeah,
didn't come to pass.
I know
So
they're calling the new versions, the new stuff, the evil bong universe. And I'm like, really? Like,
yeah,
I think they should have called it at least the Ginger Dead Man universe, because he started it all. But
yeah, the Ginger
uh
Dead Man was around before Evil Bong, so
yeah, like I like and honestly, I mean they might have made a little bit more evil bong movies than they did because they made like 7 or 8 or whatever of them. But like I think
yeah,
7, right? They did seven,
seven,
seven, seven.
8 if you count the Versus movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the verses move. That's right. So there was 8. And you know, it it's just isn't the same. That universe isn't the same. Like I would like the universe you just described, I would fucking like give them here. I want to give money. Like
yep.
I would completely if that was on Indiegogo, I would fucking fund it. Like I would put money
Totally.
for it for sure.
And it's funny because you look at all those characters and things like Dollman and Dr. Mordred, those are like iconic full moon characters. And it's funny because when you think about it, neither one of them really got far. Dr. Mordred only had his one movie, and Dollman only got 2 movies. He did Dollman and basically got Dollman versus Demonic Toys, and then he just pretty much disappeared, and they didn't do anything else with him. So
It's a bummer.
yeah, and then these ones, I mean, I think Mandroid and Invisible are 2 of the probably lesser remembered or not really looked back at as fondly as a lot of the other iconic things
Mhm.
from that era, but they're just as good in their own unique way. I honestly, as a child, I was less enthralled by the fantasy and science fiction type full moon movies,
Mhm.
like all the ones literally just mentioned. I wasn't really fans of them as a kid, but I had to grow up and watch them more. And I actually have a much more fonder appreciation for things like Mandroid and Invisible as an adult. I saw Invisible first though, so
Right.
I have more of a soft spot for the sequel, but they're both great films.
Okay. Uh can you okay, there we go. And like it froze for a second, but I can still hear you. Weird. Anyway, so let's yeah, so that's amazing. I mean, as I didn't grow up on full moon,
Mhm.
I didn't get into full moon until much later in life. So like I discovered these things I think like 2005 or whatever, 6, that kind of era. I think about the time well, maybe even been later than that, but I remember being at a Full Moon Roadshow and
Mhm.
seeing them and bought Ginger Dead Man from the man
Mhm.
himself, Charles Band, and and that was amazing to me. Um, so I had a like I watch these movies now, and I have so much to catch up on still, you know, which
Yeah,
I love.
there's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff. So I
Um,
think the last full moon movie was number 341. So
do you know if like because does Paramount own these movies or whatever?
they do not any longer know the licenses on all the Paramount era full moon titles actually expired a good number of years ago. So the licenses on the Moonbeam titles was different. I believe Full Moon acquired the Full Moon label titles and Torchlight titles back much earlier, but they actually had an extended ownership on the Moonbeam titles for
Okay.
some odd reason. So the Moonbeam titles didn't actually come back to Full Moon until probably about just 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh wow.
So
That's interesting.
yeah.
Well, like I said, I I'm wondering about that because I'm wondering if they could remake Mandroid or like it would work today, like maybe change it a little bit where it's not so Germany and stuff,
Mhm.
but like make it. make it modern, make it, because like all the stuff that they were doing was kind of ahead of its time, I think, a little bit with the driving of like I was watching the I think I even wrote a note about it. The scene where he's driving the car is a point that I will never trust machines driving us, like, at all. They did that in Mandroid, and then another movie, the movie, the writer of Saul did. God, I can't even think of the name right now. My brain is going blank. But I don't remember.
Another Lee
It was
Winnell film.
the Lee Winnell film. The set in the future where the technology takes over or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Was that Upgrade?
Upgrade.
Yeah.
Yes. Upgrade had that, like, those scenes where like the cars start malfunctioning or get hacked or whatever, and I'm like, ugh. like I don't want that to happen. And like there's no way to know, like, if the cars are going to be driving you, that couldn't happen,
Yeah.
especially if they're on the internet or something, they're on
Sure.
the. And so this movie did that where like it started malfunctioning, so they crashed.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
It's
why
pretty brutal crash too.
great crash. I think I feel
Shockingly, Benjamin Knight was not too injured from a head-on impact.
he wasn't injured, and then he didn't die from like the attack later, on him. Like
Yeah.
I'd seen this movie. I knew that he was going to be like, he becomes invisible and everything. I totally forgot, but I was almost like, dude, I would have thought that dude was dead.
Yeah, Benjamin Knight's a boss.
They freaking put him in a body bag, though, don't they? Like, they actually, like, I thought he was dead. And then I was like, wait, does he get revived? But then what's the doctor's like, hey, I'm gonna come with you, Benjamin. I'm like, you're talking to like they fucking rolled him up into the, like.
Yep.
Oh man. So I don't know. I feel like this movie was a lot of fun. I feel like the people who made it were just, we're just having a blast, and everything. And it feels good. It makes you feel good. And so I highly recommend this. If you haven't seen it, it's on Tubi. I think everything Full Moon's on Tubi, which
A lot of stuff, yeah.
I don't know why they do that, because they have their own streaming channel that they charge.
Yeah.
Like if their streaming channel was free, I could get it. But like,
if you want to see the newer stuff, you have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like you won't find Miskatonic U or something on there.
You won't find the Tiger King or whatever.
No, you won't find Barbie and Kendra or anything like that there yet. So
not here yet. Well, I mean, just give it time, because I mean, like, I'm sure it will. Once they made some money off of that on their own streaming site. I adore their streaming site, and I think I still am like subscribed to them. I'm not sure, but if not, I'm gonna have to start doing that again. Just because like I said, if they did a remake to this, or they did like they brought back Dr. Mordred, that was Dr. Mordred was one of my favorite characters. Doesn't necessarily have to be Jeffrey Combs. I mean, it would be nice to have Jeffrey Combs in it, somewhere, but okay. All right, so it's messing up again. Sorry, everybody. The internet is messing up, and he can't hear anything I'm saying right now. Can you?
Oh, good.
Okay. Good. I was letting everybody know that it's messing up, so I don't even know if it hurt me. But anyway, so yeah, so that was. I think if they did like Dr. Mordred, they brought Dr. Mordred back, and did Dr. Mordred show or a movie or whatever. I mean, take my money, man. Like, seriously. What's the Legion of Doom?
The Legion of Doom, yeah.
I feel like wasn't that a thing?
I feel like the Legion of Doom was actually a thing in Marvel, probably. So
yeah, so they can't do Legion of Doom, but
could have been why it didn't happen. Who knows?
Maybe, but yeah, like I'm hearing that, and I'm like, wait, that sounds very. Yep, super villains in DC.
There you go.
Which I thought it was DC, because was it? They've got the Justice League and
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff. But
Yeah, so it would have been the Legion of Doom for DC, and then Marvel had like what, the Sinister Six.
yeah.
Oh,
There you go. What is it? Wait, when did they? Yeah, and they came out with that in 1978. So
yeah.
you could not make that a thing unless they got the rights to DC's
So
stuff.
there could have been maybe a copyright issue or something with that brand. So,
And back in the mid 90s or so, like DC was hot.
yeah,
Batman was very big, and
yeah,
they would have better luck with Marvel. They
yeah,
tried though. They tried with Marvel, and that didn't happen.
yeah.
Dude, though, like just thinking about that, like I know Marvel tried to do Spider-Man with Albert Pune, right? If I'm right, or something. Like Captain America too. You
Something
know,
like that. Yeah.
yeah. So it would have been very cool to see like a full moon Marvel movie. I know. I mean, we saw Doctor Morja, which is their own version, but and it's actually from what I remember is the script that would have been Doctor Strange.
Yeah. They just had to
But
tweak it a little bit.
they just tweaked it a little bit, yeah. But I mean, Jeffrey Combs is Benedict Cumberbatch to me. Like they're the same. I mean, they're the same type of person.
He would have been perfect for it, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, not now. It's a little too old now, I think.
Yeah, not now, but
You
back
know.
in '92, he would have been. So
Yeah, he would have been the perfect Doctor Strange. But unfortunately, it wouldn't have been that good, and it's not Full Moon's fault or whatever. Full Moon would have done the best they could. It's just Marvel didn't really hit their stride till like 2008 when they did Iron Man.
yeah,
Like other than the Sony Spider-Man movies, nothing else was doing. Fantastic Four was,
yeah. People hadn't really perfected that idea of manufacturing comic content into successful film stuff.
But Full Moon was ahead of its time, baby. They had the Full Moon video whatever
The video zone. Yep, the
video
video zone.
zones, which were basically their first foray into like showing people the behind the scenes, which people copied, and then it became a thing on DVDs. And
yeah, it's basically the first special feature.
I know, it's very smart. And it was on VHSs back in the day. Can you imagine?
Yep.
Like you can't imagine. You were there. You saw that shit.
Yeah, and that was something that Paramount didn't want to do. Like he had to really push to get them to, because I mean those tapes you're paying for the amount of tape in the cassette.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't want to pay that extra 20-30 minutes worth of tape to stick a video zone at the end of each movie. But he really pushed.
Yeah, because you have to pay extra for the video zone itself too.
Yep.
So like period. So yeah, no, I get it, because he explained that at a convention once, that like he was ahead of his time basically.
Yep. So they bent and gave it to him. Towards the end, there were a handful of titles, especially a lot of the holdover Moonbeam titles and stuff that they just came out on videotape, and even like the first Oblivion movie, which did come out under Paramount. They didn't have any extra anything after the movie. So his Paramount just was like, yeah, we're not doing that.
So do you recommend this to people like that have never seen the movie?
Definitely. I think Mandroid's a really fun throwback to the Paramount era. It's got some cool effects. The title character is really neat. And he's a throwback too, even for 93-ish. He was a throwback, because are you aware of the fact that the Mandroid was the thing before this movie?
No.
Yeah, the Mandroid first appeared in an 86 Empire film called Eliminators, which starred Denise Crosby and Andrew Prine.
I've heard of that.
And it was like a mercenary, a scientist, a samurai, and a mandroid teaming up to stop a common evil. And the mandroid, and that was actually played by a guy. He was more of like a cyborg.
Right.
And then when he needed to go into battle, he actually would attach himself to like mini tank treads, and he rolled. So it was a tank with a guy's torso, like an actual actor popping up out of the front of it, and he'd ride into battle. So
I have that movie. I think I have that movie. I think I have it
If
in
you
a.
have it, it's a definite must watch because it's a super fun movie. So Mandroid originated there. They just kind of took that idea and sort of like crafted it into something new for the full moon era. It's a fun movie. It's that classic era of 90s shot in Romania, full moon,
Yeah, it was
cool characters.
before. Was it before Paramount or what?
Which one? Mandroid?
No.
Eliminators?
Eliminators.
Yeah, it was an Empire film
Yeah.
from about 86. So
I'm surprised they could like because Empire folded, if I'm correct, and everything. I'm surprised
yes.
that they had the rights to that character then, right? Like I don't know how that works when, you know,
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, there was even an unproduced script at Empire called Decapitron, which band later took that character and just homogenized it into a new puppet for the Puppet Master movies. So,
well, that name sounds awesome, but as a puppet, I don't know. But I mean, still, I mean, like
he's a
just
neat
having.
puppet, but he's very awkward, so they only used him in 2 movies. So,
Does he decapitate people?
he is like a robot puppet who he's shaped like a man, but he has like a morph head. He has multiple heads basically. The original concept for the feature film was Decapitron. The I think its tagline was the devastation creation. It was a military like a robot that was built that had multiple heads that could change out his head, and each head did something different. In the feature, he would have had 6 heads, but in the Puppet Master universe, the puppet version only has 3. He has a morph head, which just looks like it's made of like rubber or styrofoam, and it can morph into different people. Like he will actually channel the spirit of the Puppet Master sometimes, and he'll talk to whoever is there. Or they have like a robot head that can kind of like see through stuff, and then there's like a weapons head that can shoot like electricity and stuff.
Oh wow.
So, but he's just very complicated as a puppet because he can't just change his heads like the other puppets have to be like, yo, let me give you a hand. And it's like, he's a difficult puppet. So he only appeared in 4 and 5, and then he was just kind of like, bye-bye.
Oh, the Jeff Burr movies, nice.
Yeah, the
I'll
Jeff
have
Burr.
to, I'll have to reconnect with those at some point. I absolutely love the Puppet Master movies. I hope they do like Puppet Masters versus Evil Bong or something. That'd be pretty cool. I don't know if they would ever do that or not, but I mean, why not? At this point, I mean,
anything's possible. All of the universes and different film franchises have started to pretty much like collide and intersect in different ways more and more as time passes. So
yeah,
anything is possible.
it would be. I mean, it's not. I don't even think. I mean, it's not even really called the Puppet Master universe, necessarily. So, I mean, it's still the Full Moon, Evil Bong universe. So I think they could work. I mean, it would be cool to see all these different old school stuff. I know they're doing that. So hopefully they do another Deadly 10 or whatever and make some more bring back some more stuff, but they still got a few other ones to finish, So anyway, can you hear me? Nope. All right. Hold on, everybody. Technical difficulties once again. And you can hear me now?
Good.
Okay, I can hear you now too. All right. Well, I think that's gonna wrap it for this episode. We'll also be on for another show, so join us later. Is there any last words you want to say about Mandroid?
Just go check it out. Go discover a really cool kind of, I think, forgotten full moon movie that definitely deserves to be rediscovered and hopefully.
What was that last part? Crap. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Nope.
Hello.
Okay, now I can hear you. Fuck.
Oh,
All right. Well,
I can hear you, but you're still frozen.
oh, am I now?
You are still frozen.
This fucking sucks. All right. I don't know why this is happening. But all right. Hey, you're back. I think you're back. Yeah. All right. So yeah, what was the last thing you were saying? Sorry, it cut off like right then.
I don't even know. Just definitely go and find Mandroid and give it a look. It's a cool throwback movie that I think a lot of people aren't aware of from Full Moon, and it's definitely worth a revisit.
Definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dustin, and join us on next month for another one. Bye, everybody.
See ya.